Good morning, student. Today we are going to cover the topic of substitutional nucleophilic unimolecular reaction. That is our SN1 reaction. Last session we have completed with SN2 reaction, where we have seen that the reaction was between methyl bromide and the attack of the nucleophile, and that reaction has taken place in only one step, where we have the backside attack of the nucleophile. Right now in this reaction, that is SN1, the reaction between that tertiary butyl bromide and the hydroxide ion to give tert butyl alcohol is an example of substitutional nucleophilic unimolecular reaction. That is our SN1 reaction. In this reaction, the rate of the reaction depends on the concentration of only and only the tertiary butyl bromide, right? Only on the concentration of tertiary butyl bromide. Hence, it follows the first order kinetics, and therefore it is called as substitutional nucleophilic unimolecular reaction. The reaction rate depends upon the concentration of only one substrate, only one, so unimolecular. Let us see the reaction. Yes, here I have the reaction, where you can see that the tertiary butyl bromide group is there. The attack of the nucleophile is over there, which reacts with it. And in the product, we have the formation of the alcohol. And Br group, it comes out as the leaving group. The rate of the reaction, the kinetic of the reaction depends only and only on the concentration of the tertiary butyl bromide. Hence, it follows the first order kinetics, and therefore it is called as the unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction. One concentration depends upon only one concentration, that is of the concentration of tertiary butyl bromide. So it is called as the substitutional nucleophilic unimolecular reaction. What is this reaction? SN1, it follows in two steps. First step is the formation of carbocation, and in the second step we have the attack of the nucleophile. First step, to form the carbocation, it follows a very slow step. It is a slow reaction, where in the first reaction you can see that we have the breaking of the bond, the heterolysis. So we have the formation of both the ions, the cation and the anion. So we have the carbocation which is formed, and then we have the Br minus halide group which comes out. In the second step, because we have the carbocation, it has the tendency, the nucleophile now over here can attack from either side. From the front side also and from the back side also it is possible. Compare it with the last one, where we had in the first step only one step that the reaction was taking place, SN2, which we have completed. There only the backside attack was possible, because the nucleophile and the leaving group, it has both the same sign, negative sign. So there was possibility of force of repulsion. Whereas in this case, in SN1, the carbocation is there. The attack of the nucleophile therefore can take place from either of the side, and therefore there is a possibility to form the formation of the enantiomer. The product is formed, which can be the inversion of configuration or the retention of configuration. So these are all the theoretical part of it, that is salient features of SN1 mechanism. It follows two steps. First step, heterolysis of carbon and the halide bond, which is the slow step and reversible. The first step to form the planar carbocation intermediate. The second step, where the attack of the nucleophile on the carbocation intermediate in the fast step to form is the fast step to form the product. The nucleophile can attack the planar carbocation from either side, which results in the formation of both the enantiomer of the product. Let us see now the different aspects, that are the factors which influences the SN1 and SN2 mechanism. There are basically three factors. That three factors are the nature of the substrate, the nucleophilicity of the reagent, and the solvent polarity. Let us see them one by one. Yes, the first one, that is the nature of substrate. Now in SN1 mechanism, a planar carbocation is formed, which has no steric crowding. So the bulky group can be easily accommodated in planar carbocation. It has no steric crowding. As a result, the SN1 mechanism is most favored in tertiary halide and least favored in primary halide. I repeat again, SN1, it has what? It has the planar carbocation intermediate. Planar carbocation intermediate just now we have seen, and therefore it was possible for the nucleophile to attack from either side, the front side also and from the back side also. So there is no crowding in this particular group, and therefore the bulky group which is present can be easily accommodated, hence it is favored mostly in tertiary halide group. Second point, the carbocation intermediate is stabilized by two factors again, that is +1 effect of the substituent group and also by hyperconjugation effect of the alkyl substituent containing alpha hydrogen. What happens in SN2? In SN2, the transition of SN2 mechanism is pentacoordinate and thus crowded, and so it is favored in primary halide. Pentacoordinated because we have the carbon, the 3 bonds with the hydrogen, 1 that is for the leaving group, the Br minus is also present over there, and the attack of the nucleophile also take place from the back side. So it is pentacoordinate. It becomes crowdy and therefore it is favored by the SN2 mechanism, which is only single step mechanism. Here we have the clear image of it. So pentacoordinate, the first particular diagram A1, where we have carbon, the 3 hydrogen, the leaving group, X minus, the attack of the nucleophile. So already it is very much crowded. So this particular reaction is favored by the primary halide group. Which one? That is SN2. Whereas in SN1, already we have a bulky group, and therefore it is favored by the SN1 mechanism. Added to it the stabilization by +I effect and the hyperconjugation of alpha hydrogen, which goes on increasing. Second factor, that is the nucleophilicity of the reagent. What is a nucleophile? A nucleophile is a species that uses its electron pair to form a bond with the carbon. Now, what is its role? A more powerful nucleophile attacks the substrate faster and it favors SN2 mechanism. Whereas the rate of SN1 mechanism is independent of the nature of nucleophile. So powerful nucleophile is required for SN2 mechanism. SN1 mechanism is independent of the nature of nucleophile. The last factor, solvent polarity. SN1 reaction proceeds more rapidly in polar protic solvent. SN1 polar protic solvent. SN2 aprotic solvent. So aprotic solvent or the solvents of low polarity favors SN2 mechanism. SN1 two-step. Two-step where we have seen tertiary butyl bromide. SN2 which follows in the single step with methyl bromide. What are these? Polar protic solvent. These solvents have high dielectric constant and high polarity. For example, which includes water, alcohol, formic acid, hydrogen fluoride, etc. The polar protic solvents are favorable for SN1 reaction, while polar aprotic solvents are favorable for SN2 reaction. The polar aprotic solvents are solvents that lack an acidic hydrogen. Consequently, they are not hydrogen bond donors. These solvents generally have intermediate dielectric constant and polarity. So, the nucleophile are almost unsolvated, so it is much easier for them to attack the substrate. The nucleophiles are more nucleophilic in aprotic solvent, so SN2 reaction prefers aprotic solvents. So these are all. This was the session for the nucleophilic unimolecular reaction, that is SN1 reaction, which we have seen that the example includes the formation or it includes the tertiary butyl bromide group. Then we have completed with the 3 factors which affects the rate of the reaction, that is for both SN1 and SN2. the three factors and the reason for that. Thank you.